I used to be the daughter they were proud of, until I gave it all up to keep our world from falling apart. My name is Catherine Vale, and for a long time, I was the family's silent backbone, the one who gave everything without asking for anything in return. It wasn't always this way. I was the golden child once. Straight A's valedictorian, full scholarship to law school. My acceptance letter was taped to the fridge like a family heirloom. My little sister Lena, all braces and wide-eyed wonder back then, used to follow me around saying, "I want to be just like you." Funny how quickly admiration turns into resentment. Everything changed when I was 22. Mom got sick. Dad tried to downplay it, pretending it was something she'd bounce back from. But I knew better. I deferred my law school admission just one semester. I told myself to take care of her. One semester became a year. Then Mom was gone, slipping away like a breeze through a cracked window. And just like that, I wasn't a future attorney anymore. I was a full-time caregiver, cook, and makeshift nurse for a father who couldn't speak through his grief. Lena didn't stay. She dove into college life and dance competitions, skipping phone calls and holidays. I never blamed her. We were both drowning, just in different ways. While she escaped into the noise of the outside world, I stayed in the quiet house with broken faucets, burnt-out light bulbs, and appliances that refused to work. That's when I started fixing things. Not because I wanted to, but because no one else would. I taught myself YouTube tutorials, instruction manuals, trial and error. I ruined 2 hair dryers and nearly electrocuted myself once, but I learned. Slowly, patiently. I fixed what I could. Eventually, it became more than survival. It became skill, then purpose, then a business. I left the front desk job I'd taken just to pay bills and opened a little shop on the east side of town. Nothing fancy, just a chipped sign I painted myself, "Vale Fixes It." A second-hand workbench, a soldering iron, and a quiet kind of pride. Every time I returned a working coffee maker to an old woman who couldn't afford a new one, I felt something law school never gave me peace. No one applauded. No one posted about me. But those small, quiet wins kept me going. They mattered, even if my family never thought they did. What they saw was a girl who gave up her future to live in the past. But I knew the truth. I wasn't giving up. I was holding everything together. And for years, I stayed in that quiet role. But silence doesn't mean weakness. And eventually, silence speaks louder than anyone expects. They didn't just forget what I gave up. They made a joke out of who I'd become. If there was a medal for being overlooked, I would have had a shelf full. Thanksgiving dinners became performances. Lena would sweep in late, dressed in sharp neutrals and expensive perfume, trailing behind stories of her boss, her panels, her podcasts. Our dad, when he still cared enough to show up, would beam at her LinkedIn updates like they were gospel. I was just the daughter who showed up early to fix the loose doorknob and brought homemade cranberry sauce no one touched. But Lena didn't just ignore me. She crafted a narrative. One where I had wasted potential, where I had settled, where I had become some kind of quirky cautionary tale in flats and dust-covered hands. She weaponized smiles, those perfect PR-trained grins she'd flash before making a joke at my expense. At least I didn't waste my degree tightening screws, she once said, sipping wine like it was wisdom. Or some of us have clients who don't live in retirement homes. No one said anything. They never did. Maybe they thought it was harmless. Maybe they agreed. I never bit back because what would have been the point defending myself to people who already decided my worth was beneath them? They didn't see me, not really. They saw a fixer, a side character, the kind of person you nod at out of politeness, and then forget the second the wine is poured. Even Lena, who I once taught how to set up her first laptop, now looked at me like I was a glitch in the life she wanted to broadcast. And yet, while they dismissed me, something was quietly building. My shop wasn't flashy, but it was steady. Clients returned, referrals grew. Behind the scenes, I started receiving shipments through a logistics partner boxes full of busted electronics from warehouses around the state. Bulk work, consistent pay. I didn't know the names behind the orders, just serial numbers, barcodes, and a line item that said, "Repair required." Until one day I saw at MK Tech Systems, Lena's company. I stared at the label like it was a misprint, but it wasn't. Her company had been using my services for nearly a year, and she had no idea. Sometimes the final crack doesn't come from a stranger, it comes from the one person who should have known better. I didn't cry when I lost my scholarship. I didn't break when Mom died. I didn't collapse when Dad stopped talking and started drinking. But that rooftop party. That was the moment something inside me finally shattered. It was Lena's idea, of course. Come to our company's cocktail mixer, she'd said on the phone, all sunshine and manipulation. It'll be fun. Good for you to meet people. Might inspire you to level up a bit. I should have known. Should have felt the chill in her voice. But I said yes, not for her, and not because I needed the exposure. I went because some part of me still believed that maybe, just maybe, we could meet in the middle again. That sisters, no matter how distant, might still see each other clearly. I arrived early. Dressed simple navy blue dress, clean shoes, hair pulled back. I even brought her a small bag of locally roasted coffee she used to love when we were younger. A peace offering. Or maybe just habit. She didn't see me at first. She was surrounded, laughing, posing hands, gesturing like she was hosting a TED Talk. Her voice rose above everyone else's, bright and polished. Then she spotted me. "Catherine." She said too loud, too bright. "You came." Eyes turned, heads tilted. That familiar scanning glance, quick calculating, filing me away as not important. Then she said it. "This is my sister. She's in hardware repair." It wasn't the words. It was the way she said them. Soft, dismissive. Like I was a label she could peel off at any time. Like I was the joke and didn't know it yet. "She's like a walking warranty," she added with a smile. "She'll fix anything with a plug." People laughed. I didn't. And then she turned to a man in a sharp gray blazer. Ben remembered the blender story. My sister fixed Mom's old one instead of just upgrading it. I swear she'd rather fight technology than embrace it. More laughter, more eyes on me, no curiosity, just amusement. I opened my mouth, closed it again. Not because I didn't have a comeback, but because I knew it wouldn't matter. Not here, not to them. So I turned to the snack table and pretended the canapes were interesting. And then the elevator dinged. A hush, not silence, but a shift. You could feel it. Mara Kingsley walked in. She didn't pause, didn't pose, didn't even look for Lena. She walked straight to me. "Catherine?" she said, her voice cutting clean through the air. "I didn't expect to see you here." I shook her hand. Neither did I. Behind me, I felt Lena stiffen. You two know each other." Mara turned calm and factual. "Your sister is the reason your logistics team has been able to maintain a 97% equipment turnaround. You've been using her services for 2 years. The silence that followed was beautiful. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just stood there calm as the air cracked open and the truth spilled in like sunlight. When the truth shows up uninvited, it doesn't knock, it kicks the door wide open. Mara Kingsley's words didn't just silence the room, they rewrote it. Lena blinked, mouth slightly open. I thought that was a third-party contractor." "It is," Mara replied smoothly, "but Catherine's shop is the one they sub to. She solved problems your team couldn't even diagnose." Then she turned back to me. "We've never met in person, but your work speaks volumes." I nodded. Calm, measured, my voice steady. "Thank you." And just like that, the ground tilted. No more jokes, no more chuckles. The people who had laughed at me earlier now stood uncertain, curious. Their carefully crafted scripts didn't have a page for this version of me. I wasn't supposed to matter, but now I did. The rest of the evening shifted like someone had pulled back a curtain and let the air in. People approached me cautiously at first, then with genuine interest. They asked about my shop, the work, how I got started. I answered plainly. No bravado, no embellishment, just truth. Because the truth was enough. Later, Mara passed by again, this time with a drink in hand and something softer in her expression. "You've got a good eye," she said. "I've looked at your diagnostics. Your team solves things our engineers walk away from." "I have good people," I replied. She smiled. And good instincts. I value precision and loyalty. If you ever want to skip the middleman, let me know. She slipped a sleek card into my hand, embossed elegant corporate. I didn't look at it. I didn't need to. Lena stood a few feet away, still watching. I walked toward her slowly. She didn't run. She didn't smirk. She didn't say a word. Until I got close enough. I didn't know she said quietly. I know I replied. She looked at me, really looked, maybe for the first time in years. I didn't mean to embarrass you, she added. Yes, you did, I said. Not cruelly, just plainly. You just didn't expect it to backfire. She flinched, a little, but didn't deny it. There was a silence. It didn't feel cold, just honest. I've worked hard to get where I am, she said. You dropped everything. You just settled. No, I said. I rebuilt. She blinked. Her wine glass shook slightly in her hand. I guess I always thought you gave up. A lot of people did, I said. That's the luxury of distance. Her lips parted like she wanted to defend herself, but she didn't. Did you come tonight to prove something, she whispered? I laughed once, quiet and brief. No, I came because you asked. And that was the truth. I wasn't there for revenge. I wasn't there to be seen. I was there to let the facts breathe. And they did. Sometimes the loudest shift in a room comes from a silence that no one can ignore. After that moment with Lena, something in the air changed for everyone. The laughter never came back. The snide looks didn't return. In their place was something new, attention. Not the kind I'd ever asked for, but the kind that made people see me. People who hadn't glanced twice earlier now approached me with cautious admiration. They asked about my work, about turnaround times, client stories. One woman leaned in and whispered, "You saved our warehouse's entire spring rollout. I had no idea that was you." I didn't boast. I didn't grandstand. I just told the truth, because that was all I ever needed. Mara passed by again near the end of the night, this time alone. She stopped beside me and nodded toward the skyline. I like people who keep the system running quietly, she said. No one sees them, but they're the ones who keep the lights on. I smiled. I just fix what's broken. You do more than that, she said. You restore function. That's harder than building from scratch. It requires care. Then she held out her hand again, not to shake this time, but to offer something more. If you ever decide you're done working in the shadows, my door's open. I took the card. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just said, I'll think about it. And I meant it. Lena stood across the room still. She wasn't posing anymore, wasn't performing. When I looked at her, she didn't look away. I walked over. She was gripping her wine glass like it was grounding her. I really am sorry, she said again. I nodded. Good, now do better. She looked down, not in shame, maybe in understanding, like something had finally clicked. And in that moment, I felt no need to correct her or comfort her or punish her. Her reaction was hers to carry. Mine was done. That night, I didn't walk out with a trophy or a title or a job. I walked out with something better. Balance. The scale had finally leveled, and not because I forced it, but because the truth finally had a voice. And it spoke when it needed to. I never needed to be discovered. I just needed to stop hiding from my own worth. I didn't take Mara's offer, not because I wasn't tempted, not because it didn't feel validating, but because I realized something that night. I didn't need a bigger platform to feel seen. I didn't need Lena's approval or Mara's card or a room full of business suits to remind me that what I built mattered. I already knew. The card she gave me. It's still in a drawer in my shop, tucked under a stack of old receipts and faded instruction manuals. I keep it not as a missed opportunity, but as a reminder. That night wasn't about promotion. It was about perspective. People talk a lot about revenge, how sweet it is. But that's not what this was. This was truth. Undeniable, quiet, long overdue, and in many ways far more powerful than vengeance. Since that night, my shop has stayed busy. The exposure helped, sure. Some new clients trickled in. But that's not what I hold on to. What stays with me are the quiet wins. The elderly man who brings me his late wife's antique mixer and thanks me with tears in his eyes. The single mom whose only laptop I revived just hours before her online exam. The teenage assistant I hired Miles, who now wants to launch his own mobile repair truck. That's the legacy I care about. Lena and I talk now, carefully, not like sisters who braid each other's hair and swap secrets, but like people who are trying, who finally saw each other clearly for the first time and are still figuring out what that means. She hasn't mocked me since. Sometimes she even asks for advice on budgeting or how to reset her thermostat, and I give it. Not because I need her approval anymore, but because I've let go of needing anything from her at all. What I've learned is this. Respect doesn't always arrive in applause. Sometimes it's in the quiet pause after people finally stop talking long enough to listen. I never shouted to be seen. I never demanded recognition. But when truth finally walked into the room, I didn't flinch, because I'd been standing in it all along. So if anyone ever asks what I do, I tell them the truth. I fix what's broken. And I don't just mean appliances. Have you ever been underestimated by your own family? Ever had your truth finally come to light? Share your story below and don't forget to like and subscribe. Someone out there might need to hear that quiet victories still matter.